Sorry about that. Hey guys, welcome to another live stream. Probably the first time I've been doing it in over a year. I told about the last time, well, I guess through just a community chat, that I would be sort of announcing a few things up on here. Well, it's nothing destructive related, but you know, if you would otherwise note the pony here, and then just with whatever's happening on my computer and just right over here. But I just have some new videos in store. I mean, not right now, but sometime later this month, but you'll see in a bit. And yeah, so, but other than that, just some of the few things I wanted to announce for here was, well, it'll be related to this, and I suppose this, because I wanted to be able to talk about just this thing right here. Well, of course, you probably know about the motif, the Bam Slam gadget and hydrosonic boom blaster. Well, I'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, for those curious, well, for those that are interested in my Little Pony crime movies, like just some users I'll name out: Ian England and was it, I think, Newbie 101. I just wanted to announce, well, that, well, considering how with my movies, you know how I tend to mainly focus on horror movies. Well, I know at this time I've kind of been hyper fixated on, well, just getting back into doing pony movies. Well, for which case I've been feeling fairly inspired, I guess, from just, you could say, ChatGPT and just whatnot. But beside the point, I'm moving ahead with potentially doing My Little Pony 5 and 6. Well, considering the ideas and inspiration I got. Well, so yeah, I've been doing horror movies for so long that, well, maybe not so long. I mean, just I've been focusing mostly on the Ghost Jacket movies, that at this point I want to kind of veer off into something different. I mean, I'll still continue with those all the way up to part 9, but for now I would just want to be able to strike the iron while it's hot with doing another My Little Pony movie. You know, even though the show's long since been off the air, well, I mean, with the G4 series, I mean, we still got a new generation, even though nobody seems to care. You know, supposedly that series is coming to an end, and I know most would prefer G4, which is fine. But yeah, beside the point, yeah, My Little Pony crime movie 5 and 6 are official. Now, I won't go into too many spoilers, but you know, if you've ever watched any of those movies, well, see, I probably don't remember too much about, like, just the plot of just much of those other films, but I know it will, I have it to where it will pick up from the events of part 4 to where, spoilers, Lancelin's twin sisters are shipped away to a psychiatric hospital, well, put in an insane asylum, and then some guy actually breaks them out. Well, they're supposedly, you know, locked up in there for years. Well, supposedly because of, like, their crazed thoughts. Well, you know, just seeing stuff like My Little Ponies and Transformers and whatnot. And I have it in the fourth movie to where there's a bit with the Transformers, even if it really has nothing else to do. You know, it doesn't really add too much substance. But yeah, beside the point, I'm planning to have it follow up, well, with the twin sisters. Well, have it to where they escape the psychiatric hospital, well, with the help of a villain. And you know, this is one of the things I don't want to get into too many spoilers for, but I have it to where the villain, well, this will actually help to address plot threads of past My Little Pony crime movies, to where, well, supposedly this villain, you know, had these capabilities to where they would spawn different villains. Let me just see if I could read this real quick. We'll just go off of these notes for here. Well, this is the concept I have. I don't know if I should go with either one of these titles here. I'll probably have it to where My Little Pony 5 would be called Ponies or Bronies on Fire. And these titles I just mostly stole from or borrowed from heroic bloodshed movies, well, which is where I got the inspiration to do the My Little Pony crime movies. Well, I got the idea mostly from getting a Happy Meal toy from my speech teacher back in the 6th grade, because I noticed it in the drawer, and you know, I thought it looked pretty cute, and so I decided to make a little movie out of it. And so that led me to getting all the other toys. I basically shot the movies with no real plot in mind. I mean, there's a lot of story that happens, of course, not really a cohesive plot. Well, that was up until after I got terminated, to where I decided to revive those movies and recut them just to make them more cohesive. Well, of course, for my alpha fans watching, most of you wouldn't understand those movies unless you have seen them, but it's otherwise fine. But yeah, just a lot of it involves Woody and the ponies just stopping crime, and there's this like juvenile cop named Lancelin that's, you know, trying to like subjugate them, or whatever the heck. I play Lancelin. Well, so I know something like that for the, I'll point this at something else, give you something else to look at. I know I have it to where, well, for the juvenile cop thing, I know it doesn't make too much sense in the real world, and not that it's a real thing. I know there's such thing as like child labor, well, in certain countries, but I figured this would be perfect use of the plot involving the villain. I have it to where the villain, well, involved in the story, you know, has actually not only, here, let's see, well, I have it to where he not only has recruited just these different dangerous individuals, so just these different plushes to go after the My Little Pony squad, and also had created the Rainbow Dash doppelgangers, but had also to where actually gave Lancelin the ability to become just a policeman, just this juvenile cop. I mean, almost becomes like a surrogate father to Lancelin. Well, I mean, a lot of this will be exposition and provided with some flashback footage of just archival stuff. You know, and that's sort of the thing I've also been doing. If you notice the computer, well, I just had these little notes here of just archival material, well, that I otherwise didn't use. Well, I had shot for certain movies, but otherwise didn't use. So I'm gonna see about making use of it here, so that way I'm not just shooting an abundance of, you know, material, just different material. You know, I only just want to shoot with whatever would be useful, whatever new stuff for that I would use for the movie, but otherwise the rest I would see about padding out with stock footage, so that way I'm not wasting memory, you know, just finding creative reuses for it, just the footage. But yeah, the antagonist would have been the sort of catalyst for the Rainbow Dash doppelgangers, and, you know, sending out the different villains, well, just these different plush figurines, well, just these different, like, criminals, or, you know, mobsters, well, just plush mobsters, to try and stop the My Little Ponies, and, you know, to invoke crime all over the city. But yeah, you know, I know something like that sounds ambitious, but, you know, I have it to where for these movies it will be otherwise like low tech. Well, I'll have it to where, here I'm just trying to think it out right now, but my mind's a blank, you know. Well, I have it to where for just this new entry, it won't feature Woody and the ponies. Well, because I supposedly had it to where in part 4 they would be killed off. Well, because supposedly I had it to where their story had run its course. And so, yeah, essentially had them killed off. Well, of course, I did a separate video on that where Twilight Sparkle addressed the different plot holes and tried to resolve them in that video. Well, that's also part of the movie. And supposedly one of the things that she touched upon was that Tularula supposedly would have committed suicide. But I have it to where she will be in the movie, you know, and this is why I have this plush. Well, not this plush, I mean this little doll of sort that I was going to feature in the movie. I'll probably have it to where it would come up as sort of a mystery, I think, up until the end. But yeah, for the most part, it would still be a My Little Pony movie, except just not with the typical pony squad. Here, let me shut the door real quick. Yeah, it otherwise wouldn't involve the typical pony squad and Woody. I would have a subplot to where supposedly Woody would get revived, and maybe I could go a little bit more. I could delve into his backstory of why he can't be killed. I mean, he could, you know, otherwise get injured and, you know, shoot up blood and stuff, but otherwise wouldn't be capable of dying. Well, I don't know as to how I would explain that. Well, not that he'd be a mutant or so, but that's beside the point. But yeah, you know, I have the thing pitched to where it would be on the Equestria Girls. Well, not on all these ones, but I would want to try to have it to where it would involve like actors playing them, like cosplayers, and so just try and make use of them for here and all that stuff. Oh yeah, I was just trying to think right now, going off the cuff. Yeah, well, I would just have it to where it would only involve Sunset Shimmer and Sai Twy. because I figure it just wouldn't be possible to have all 6 or 7 actors playing the ponies. You can hear my brother spitting in the bathroom, and he leaves the sink running. Now you see what I have to go through. But yeah, beside the point, I would only have it to where it would involve just sunset and twilight, you know, to keep costs down. Well, because I don't envision this as being a big budget feature film. I have it as just a short film. Well, for each one of the Ghost Jacket movies I've done, we'll see, because I've done like a feature film of it. Well, I had it to where I combined the first 3 movies into one package film, you know, and have it as a feature film, which I've submitted it to film festivals on Film Freeway. Ghostly Jacket Trine, it's called, Triune. If you're more than curious, but yeah. No, I don't consider that a feature film, you know, much the same as the My Little Pony movies. You know, any of those feature film type things I do, well, I've done up on YouTube, you know. I don't consider them feature films, but just more of just like, I guess, 4 or 5 short films spanned across to be feature length, or just as a feature length movie, you know, spanning across several short films. Well, but you get the idea. But yeah, you know, just based on the ideas that I have for this new entry, it might entail a part 6. You know, that's why I clarified, you know, for this movie, it might end up turning into a 2-part movie, where one would just be part 5, the other would be a part 6, and things as such. Special Agent Oso destruction. Well, I'll see about that. I'm not destroying every single childhood thing in existence like this here. This is a JoJo figurine, JoJo Circus, that I bought specifically for a movie I'm doing, well, just as a prop. But I'm not destroying this, you know? You know, I could do other stuff like Special Agent Oso, but not something like this. Is my microphone on mute? Never mind. Well, if it was on mute, you know, you would know. I'm just scrolling through the comments. But yeah, that's sort of the announcement. My Little Pony 5 and 6, well, just part 5 for the most part, is official. It will mostly feature, well, I'll have it to where it will still be a plush movie, but also with live action actors or cosplayers playing Sunset and Twilight. Yeah, I'm still into some consideration about where else I want to take the film into, well, just certain territories. Like, I think I told about how I was upcycling film footage, and so I might consider, well, having some other subtle subplots, you know, just intertwined in the movie. Well, just sort of world building in a way. I mean, for just the My Little Pony movies in general, I've sort of had this, I sort of world build, well, even if I don't make too much sense out of it, but thanks to folks like Brandon Rogers and whatnot. Well, because I know for Brandon Rogers, you know, with some of the series that he's done, like what he did for Sam and who was that CEO girl, like Donna, and the British couple, you know. It's always nice to see how he could be able to expand on the mythology of those characters, and I want to try to do the same for the My Little Pony stuff. But yeah, one of the ideas that I had was I'd have it to where the Cutie Mark Crusaders would be featured in there, but you know, it's just mostly stock footage from another movie. I did post a My Little Pony Cutie Mark Crusaders movie, but I think otherwise just generic. Well, just mixed it in with stock footage of the time I went to like Europe. I was on that Viking cruise. Well, you wouldn't understand unless if you went back to my older videos. You know, I also did another My Little Pony series, well, at the same time. Well, even if those videos, just the series, well, any of those movies that you would see otherwise don't make sense, I'm gonna try to clarify them for part 5. You know, I figure this new villain that I would have would actually make perfect use. Well, I guess to sort of employ use of just that archival material and help to clarify just various things. But yeah, I'm the only one here who cares about the movies. Totally fine. Well, of course, y'all don't know what you're missing anyway, which is these movies. But yeah, you notice just these boxes here. Well, I have it to where for the next couple destruction videos, I will be saving it as a surprise, well, with where I'll be heading. But yeah, you know, I'm not going to be doing these videos for now, but I'll be saving it just for the special video I'll be doing, as well as the 500th one. You know, I've been getting requests for word rammer. You know, I do have the screenshot of the things I will be implementing into the word rammer. Well, just the different words I'll be putting in, 3-lettered words, as well as, you know, other scandalous things that you want in there. But yeah. Yes, this is the Grinch. I would be saving it specifically for a Grinch video. I know I did shoot something before on my iPhone, but I'd rather save that for when I get the other Grinch thing for Christmas. Or if not, I could just do away with this and also post that other video. We'll just put that video up there too. Well, the one that I shot on Black Friday of me smashing up a Grinch decoration that I got from CVS. You know, that's sort of the thing too. I always used to like getting stuff from CVS. Well, I mean, just like toys in general. Sometimes stuff to smash up, other times just stuff to use in my movies. And yeah, well, I would like to get some more plushies. I mean, specifically to gather some up in anticipation for the movie I'm doing. But since I'm more older and wiser, I want to be able to consider which ones to get rather than just go at them blindly. Well, I mean, just buy whichever ones without even giving some thought into it, you know? Just going on a shopping impulse, you know? I have to sort of think about it, which kind of helps. Yes, I've been a brony, even though I haven't really talked about it for years or really shared about my interest, but yeah, I only just wanted to come on here just to announce the new My Little Pony crime movie I'm doing, well, writing up at this time, and all. As to when I'll be shooting it, it will probably be in the later part of next year. Now, probably around the time I graduate film school, which I'm close to being finished. Well, I don't know if I'm sort of, not doing as effective. Well, I mean, for just one class. I mean, just some of the one film study class. Well, I guess just by the fact that I just get brain fog, I think it just could account for the fact that I solo DJ bump. But I know for something like that, well, if you pardon the expression I just used, I know that can cause, loss of concentration and, memory issues, fries up your brain. So if I could, I would probably just go on NoFap if I can. Well, not that it's so much that it's like overpowering me anyway, but I don't want to delve into too much anyway. But yeah, it's one of the many reasons why my brain's not as sharp, just because of that. Well, when you get older, you understand, but just the perks of being an adult. I mean, I love being able to do these movies. I'll create some new content. I don't mind the destruction, but I know I could at least have some more support for the films that I do, considering how I'm close to graduating from film school. I'm at San Diego State. I'll show you the shirt real quick, just for reference. Closet's in disarray. Usually mom has this meticulously organized, but yeah, this is it here. SDSU Aztecs, even though I'm not all for any of the football games or anything. Never interested in that. But yeah, I'll see about doing the Special Agent Oso at some point. But yeah, if curious about the title to Making Hay While the Sun Shines, I want to be able to, the point I was trying to make for just this My Little Pony movie is that I want to be able to, hang on to it, like strike the iron while it's hot, in just writing it and bringing the movie into fruition, because otherwise I would lose interest. I mean, I hyperfixate on things for so long that after a while I tend to drift off into other things. But yeah, I want to be able to hang on to it while it's still in my mind. Well, I mean, just the idea of it. But yeah. Can't even read all the comments here. Yeah, I mean, it's just going through anyway. But yeah. And so, if curious too about the screenshot, I mean, beside the point of the title of the stream, if you noticed this thing here, well, this is actually a story, If y'all remember the YouTuber dOvetastic microwave theater, well, and you know how I constantly quote about the Bam Slam gadget and some of his other tropes. Well, this is a piece that I got from him from his show called Robolights. If curious about the guy behind dOvetastic microwave theater, he's known as an artist. He goes by the name of Kenny Irwin Jr., and he has a show in Palm Springs called Robolights. And so I had the privilege of going down there for Labor Day weekend. My dad and I drove up there. Well, I think we went somewhere else first, but this was just a little bit after the hurricane coming through. Well, of course, for our case, being in San Diego, it was just a tropical storm, so nowhere near as devastating as further inland in California. No, I remember when we were driving up there, it was still raining and the roads, well, certain roads were flooded, and so we had to get around certain roadways. Well, whatever the heck, we'll just had to get around, well, with where we were heading to. I mean, in which case we were heading up to Palm Springs. I had it to where I wanted to go to Bombay Beach, so I could also record some footage of just the abandoned places up there, well, so I can make use of it for my movies. Yeah, that's another thing too. Well, the Universal Studios Horror Night event I went to, they had a show called The Purge: Dangerous Waters, and so I'm always inspired, to actually be able to take footage from those shows, well, and actually work them into my movie. Well, I would rework the bit to where I would actually write up my own dialogue for just those scenes. Well, just still, including footage of the show. But yeah, just making creative reuse of it, because it has all the, like, panache, you could say, just the effects and blood and whatnot. And I figured, if nobody else is doing it for their movies, like, why don't I? So that's why. But yeah, beside the point, back to the Robolights story. Here, let me see if I can move this here. I can't turn the screen around because otherwise it would just shut the stream off. Here, let me see if I could put this up on here, prop this up so you could see the thing. I doubt I would be able to tilt it, right? I'm cheap anyway. A lot of my movies I do are otherwise no budget. Here, let me see if I could use one of these. Yeah, whatever the case, it'll just end up slipping off. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I could pull up the screenshot I had, well, specifically my chat with the guy. But yeah, well, when you go to Robolights, when you initially go to Robolights, you would have to call the number, you would have to make an appointment. And so he talks about how you would have to show up early. Well, I know some say he's a little bit pushy, but yeah, I would just tell my story anyway. But, for those that would make an appointment, you would, he would open the gates. Well, he would have the gates open, and you would have it to where you would have to stand outside. You can't just go right on in. You would have to wait by the lumberjack statue. I mean, there's no, when we went, just to tell our story, there was no indication as to what the lumberjack was. Well, it turned out it was the guy with a candy cane. And so when we initially first showed up, see, because I was like pretty self-aware, just of the sitch. I was just like, I don't know if you want us to wait outside. Like, I don't think we're supposed to go on in. I mean, we didn't wander all the way into the thing, but we only went as far as like past the gate. Well, I think where you would usually sign in. I mean, they had like a donations pile like out in the front, well, beside the candy caned lumberjack. And so we didn't go as far in, but I was thinking, I think we should wait out front. I don't think we're supposed to be over here. I mean, we didn't go as far in, well, into the attraction. Well, just past the gate. I think there was like a car up front, just a model car that had like coins covering it, and we were just pointing out some of the other things. And so Kenny came on out, and I know he was, for here, he was just a little bit crabby. Well, in us, walking past the gate, well, he's just like, you're supposed to wait out by the lumberjack. Well, of course, we ended up going back out. Well, there was no indication of it, but of course, when we referred to the lumberjack, it had the candy cane. So, you know, the lesson in here is when you go to this, if you happen to go into Robolights and they ask you to wait by the lumberjack, like, it always helps, well whether that's important, ask questions or take pictures. So it would help to where if you would first walk in, like, maybe take a picture of where you are or ask about the lumberjack. If the lumberjack, or where you're supposed to stand, is the one guy with the candy cane. And so I think it would otherwise help to get the point across, because, you know, sometimes it just doesn't make things too clear. But beside the point, yeah, when you would go in, you would have to wait by the candy cane lumberjack and then text him, and then he would come and meet you, and to not enter past the second gate beyond the lumberjack until he first meets you. And so, you know, he had very basic etiquette to where to respect his art and to give him 2 hours notice, like if in the event you would have to cancel. And so, although there would be no charge in going around, to be mindful of the appointment, in which case he's talked about how, well, when we were by the gate and he was just talking about how he had a lot of people doing no-shows, like where people supposedly would sign up for the event but otherwise would not show up to it, and in which case there's other clients that have left the attraction early without even him explaining the art, and otherwise just completely wastes his time, and, you know, he can't trust those guests that don't show up or change their mind at the last second, you know, who oftenly say nothing about being unresponsive, keeping him waiting. They will keep their appointments. You know, just because he doesn't charge does not mean that his work or his time should be treated as something worthless, you know. So it would be otherwise helpful that when you go, well, I was just going off of the text here, it would otherwise be helpful should you go to Robolights, well, beside my point of asking questions like through text about, well, certain things that otherwise are unclear, or taking pictures of where you are. Well, like if when you go in and, you know, you stand by the lumberjack and take a picture and ask, is this where we're supposed to stand or whatever? Well, I think it would just help to get the point across. And so, well, case in point, at least try to respect him and his time, and don't go wandering off, like, well, even though if you show up early, you know, it wouldn't be best just to go wandering off. Well, I mean, like after you go through the attraction and you leave without even, well, meeting up with the artist where he would explain the art. But yeah, well, case in point for his, well, him talking about how he had like just these no shows. No, I kind of felt for him, so I chose to unobtrusively donate, well, some money into his donation pile so he wouldn't have to feel bad. I didn't tell him directly, but because, well, I could tell because of how crabby he was, well, just a little bit irritated. I mean, just with case in point, well, just with these many no-shows that I chose to donate. I mean, I knew about his YouTube channel for at least a few years, and, you know, I'd seen many of his posts on there. Well, besides just the microwaving stuff, I know he's got like a lot of like other questioning things. I mean, he does talk about his, or showcases art, and maybe just his travels and things of such other weird stuff. Like the one other show besides the microwave show that comes to mind is like the waffle iron bit, where, I mean, he's waffle ironed at least a few things, and, well, in which case out of this like contraption that he's made, well, not really contraption, just a piece of art that he made of just this robot, and he waffle ironed at least a couple things in there. I mean, it didn't become the success that the microwave show did, but yeah, it's always good to be like sort of a jack of all trades, just sort of branching off with different content. And there was another show too that was like the waffle iron show. Other than the fact it was just about him using an iron just to iron certain foods. It was called Ironing Chef, and usually he opened it by usually spitting on the iron, which I know most would find otherwise gross. I know I would. Why not use water? But usually just to test how hot it would be. And then he would usually show the item in which he was going to be ironing. Well, cooking like so. Well, whether it be just like a regular burger or just like a pastry or something. I know for some of the episodes in which he actually irons meat, he would give it to his trainer dogs, afterwards. But I know most of the stuff would be like I don't know, once he did it with a ice cream sandwich, and then another which was with a cookie, a lava cake, and some other things too. Cooler ice, dry ice, and usually he ends the episode by putting it in the bowl and then usually eating it. And usually he makes sounds when he's eating it. It's just like when he's just eating it. And most would find it weird otherwise, but I mean, he's otherwise just a pretty regular guy. Well, I mean, just based on the art that we had seen, I remember on the drive back home when we were heading towards Bombay Beach, we came to the assumption, I assumed that the guy potentially had Asperger's. Well, I mean, was potentially on the autism spectrum like me. I've talked about how I was on, I'm on the autism spectrum. Well, case in point for here, I don't know if you guys know about this, but supposedly my dad also had the same condition as me. Well, supposedly was on the spectrum like me, but if not nearly as notable as mine. In which case he was forced to pass for normal. I mean, he told about how he thought he had certain symptoms of it, and yeah, but otherwise he told about how when he and I are around that he noticed that you mask it pretty well, and I can mask it pretty good otherwise. But yeah, beside the point, I came to the assumption that, based on our encounter with him, just up front, and then just with his artwork, I made the assumption that he could have had Asperger's or autism. And he's like, something? I think he has way more Asperger's, or he's like way more on the spectrum than you and I put together. But yeah, I mean, it always was something nice to sort of ponder about. But yeah, beside the point, case in point, for the Robolites attraction, it otherwise went pretty decent. I mean, we had just gotten out of seeing the movie Strays, which I wanted to go see just before we would head off to this event. And yeah, we got plenty of pictures there. I wish I would share some pictures of it. But yeah, I mean, it's very fantastical. Of course, he had the microwaving robot, like the Amir 9000 robot up front. Well, if you ever see pictures of the attraction, I could pull it up right here. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that he's created is mostly just out of trash, just otherwise unused items, and finds creative reuses for it. Some of the stuff is quite impressive otherwise. Let me see if I could try to pull it up here. But yeah, like a lot of the stuff that he had, I mean, you know, he had the microwaving robots up front, you know, up on display here. These are just different pictures of Robo-lights here. Like the microwaved store right here, he had like all of his microwave items on display, like the phones and like MacBook, well, not MacBook, one of the vintage Macs, and also this microwave to where he stuffed a tiny microwave inside of a microwave oven, or he stuffed a tiny microwave oven inside of another microwave and basically microwave that. So he had that on display, which was nice. Here, let me just hide this one out. But yeah, you know, he had most of his work on display. And if curious, this is the artist himself. You could easily look him up, Kenny Irwin Jr. But yeah, if you are more than curious just to know about him, well, for those that mostly know about him from dOvetastic, well, this is the guy who's done the microwave videos, the YouTuber behind dOvetastic Microwave Theater. But yeah, you know, Microwave-O-Land, one of the robots was on display in there. But yeah, you know, it's really something you should go check out for yourself. I know at this time, he would usually do the Christmas bit. Well, I know he'd usually decorate it for Christmas. And so, yeah, I mean, it was very expansive. A lot of stuff to really look at, but I was mostly pointing out the various microwaving things. Well, I mean, the stuff he had microwaved. I mean, I didn't tell my dad up front about him being a YouTube sensation. Well, of course, I told about how he was a little bit crabby up front because we were just a little bit confused about with where we were supposed to stand, like wait, just before he would come out and introduce us to the art. But of course, once we were at his shop, well, we'd have it to where, or not we, the artist had it to where by the end of the session, he would have us come by, you know, walk past the swimming pool up to the little shop that he had, you know, for those that would want to consider buying any of his works. You know, usually a lot of skulls and like some other things too. They made out of like just sort of molds, whatever the heck. I don't know with what material it was, but yeah, I mean, he just had his gift shop just like right there. And so yeah, when we were talking about how I was influenced by him, like once we sort of touched upon just YouTube stuff, like, you know how before he was a little bit crabby, well, supposedly just because of past clients, well, just the history of it and just us getting confused up front. Well, once we opened up about YouTube, he sort of opened up much more. So, but yeah, I think otherwise just there could have been some indication of autism. Well, not that he actually talked about it on his channel specifically, but I could only come to the assumption that he could have been on the spectrum like me, you know, just because of like his artwork and just the way he spoke mostly. You know, I could usually tell, well, if somebody has autism or so just from certain visual indicators or, you know, just in the way they speak. But yeah, you know, like after all was said and done, we're just going around the Robo-Lights thing. Oh yeah, well, one thing I didn't mention about is that, well, when you do go, just be wary of like gnats or mosquitoes, because like just after the event, my dad told about, well, he was complaining about how he was itching by his legs, and supposedly there were just a bunch of the places like has like gnats and mosquitoes around, supposedly that would bite folks. Well, I mean, considering how it was Palm Springs. But yeah, if you do go there, just make sure to, I guess, spray down your legs with any sort of mosquito stuff. I don't have the right word for it. Just this sort of mosquito spray, or repellent, you know, just to put on your legs so that way you don't get attracted by the gnats, or you know, just get subjected, bitten so many times. And yeah, well, but yeah, well, just the point I was trying to make is that we finish up the event, we go and visit his gift shop. He texts us about how it, considering how it was our time, you know, to meet up with him and talk to him about his art. You know, he told us instructions about how we would have to walk past the pool. I think it was like a yellow gingerbread house of sort, and you know, we were a little bit confused too, well, just because, I mean, he never told us to go past the swimming pool. I mean, and there was at least a couple other gingerbread houses, but it turns out that we'd have to go past the swimming pool, you know, where the yellow gingerbread house would be. And so we met up with him there. Of course, we were just coming around the corner, just like, we're just coming right up, you know, just like heading towards him, well, just going up to the attraction, or just the gift shop. Well, not the attraction, I mean, because we already gone through the attraction, we were just coming up to the gift shop, sorry. I don't know, going off the cuff anyway. Well, I don't have a segue. But yeah, we meet up with him, you know, at his gift shop. And for those like that are otherwise more interested in his art, those that are more passionate or interested with his art, you know, he would let folks into his living room. In which case, well, when we brought up about how I was influenced by him, just doing destruction videos, well, he brought us into his house. I remember we touched upon how we both were subject to losing our YouTube accounts. I did have a YouTube account before, back in December 2008. Well, of course, that date has passed. December 5th, 2008 is when I first launched my YouTube channel. Of course, we're at least a week past that date. Well, would you believe I've been on YouTube 15 years? You know, couldn't be ever more thankful. But yeah, beside the point, we both had something in common to where he lost his YouTube account. Well, unlike my case, which was copyright infringement from, well, some other thing. Well, that's a whole other story anyway. Well, case in point, for his account, he lost it to community guidelines. And I know I've got to know about how he had the struggle with community guideline strikes. Well, I mean, just like getting his account flagged down. Well, supposedly just because of the videos that he was promoting, even though there was nothing remotely dangerous about them. I mean, even though it was microwaving stuff. I mean, he had like, the guy was like what? Had like around 20,000 subscribers. Well, maybe not so much as my channel here, you know, and considering how I'm also continuing the tropes of the Bam Slam gadget and Hydrosonic Boom Blaster, if not copying his like art work here. And I'll explain this in a bit, but I'm just telling my story. But yeah, for just his account, he got terminated around like 2018, and I used to love watching his videos. I know there have been certain users that have complained about how it's just like, oh, I didn't like it when he started talking about his religion, like, rather than just him doing micro videos. I loved his micro videos. Like, why did he have to veer off into doing other stuff for his channel than just doing microwave videos. You know, that's why you have to listen to your audience. You know, I didn't like the fact he talked about his own religion in his background. Well, not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, as long as, you know, you're just continuing with just doing the same stuff. I mean, it never hurts to, you know, change once in a while. And I try to do that. I try to be versatile with my YouTube channel and such. I was just going to take care of something real quick. I got a notification. Anyway, you know, I try to be versatile with my YouTube channel. I mean, just like besides instruction videos, I like making movies and plush videos. And I know the plush video stuff usually gets about the same amount of viewage as my destruction videos, if not so much. But, you know, I like being able to branch out and things like that. But yeah, well, beside the point, we were just sort of talking about, well, just certain parallels in our life. And case in point for his YouTube channel, when he got terminated, he tried reinstating it, even going as far as to hiring a private attorney to try and revive the channel, but there was no point in getting it back. Supposedly, most of the work that he had posted on YouTube was lost to time. You know, I know he had lots of other videos too, just before he did microwaving stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff was mostly just travel videos and other things, you know. But I know for the most part he was promoting his attraction robo lights, you know, the stuff I was just talking to you about for here. But yeah, well, just case in point, he does have a Facebook, and you could easily track down, well, if you're more than curious about his work, well, just with what he does. I mean, he's got a lot of his things on there, if not anything microwave related. I mean, I did touch upon about how some of his videos will whichever survived, some of them were still on Daily Motion, but it was just only like a small percentage. But yeah, otherwise a lot of it was just lost forever. Well, of course, I don't feel too bad. I mean, considering how there was this autistic YouTuber that supposedly did a compilation video, well, just like a couple different compilation videos. One was of the hydrosonic boom blaster set to a song, Boom Boom, Let Me Hear You Say Wayo, or something like that. And then all of dOvetastic's different slug creations. Because usually when he would microwave the items, he would end every video to where he would create a sort of monstrosity of an art piece out of, well, with whichever he microwaved. Well, I know for the last videos, he had it to where he just simply offered his microwaved item for sale. No, but I know I liked it better when he did it, well, just actually created some surreal artwork with it. Well, just like skulls out of like just different things, like googly eyes. And I thought I saw this one video to where he made a casting of a bird with his own human hair. He had saved like balls of his own hair for like at least however many years, and just put it in just this little mold and poured in just whatever mixture will supposedly it creates the mold. I forget what it is, but we'll just pour that in there, and it would just create the little mold of sort. But yeah, you know, beside the point, when touching upon the YouTube stuff, and well, just with our channels in particular, we kind of had some things in common. Of course, he took us inside his living room, and the place was just littered with like skull creations. Of course, he had like a shelf of like different skulls and things, and of course he had all of his microwaved artwork, just downstairs. Well, just some of the things I've been able to point out. Well, just the names of certain things like the iWavotron slug. Well, if you're more than curious about, well, just some of the creations that he's done, you can easily check out the video of dOvetastic's slugs, microwave slugs, and you could get the majority of those little things up front with whatever he has made. But yeah, just like how I had seen it in the videos. I mean, specifically in that slugs video, because otherwise I would have no idea as to which video any of those microwave art pieces were from. And so I was able to point out which ones because of that video that the guy had made, just the compilation video. I forget what name this guy goes by. Oh, Andrew Bass. Andrew Bass. He's the one that did the compilation video of just the different dOvetastic slugs. Well, he covered from the years 2009 to 2013. It's like a 30 to 40 minute video that you could easily check out. And of course, if you look up dOvetastic slugs on Google, you could track Kenny Irwin down. Well, I mean, just his pictures up on Flickr, you could be able to find some of his work, well, just some of his stuff up on there. Well, just the stuff that he did for his microwave videos and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, other than that, that's pretty much all there is to it. Well, just for that whole thing. But, well, just the point I was just trying to make for here was that when we went into his house and we saw he had all of his microwave artwork creations just lying around. When we got plenty of pictures, he told about how, well, I think I told about how, I'm kind of just stammering anyway, but I remember talking to Dad about how I was to say, hey, do you remember the time that when we were in an Apple store and I was showing the video of the time he microwaved one of the newer iPhones, and I was watching it on an iPhone in the store. I remember my dad got a picture of it, but otherwise he doesn't remember it. Well, I still remember it just because of the pictures that we have in our photo library. But he told about how he made those videos, and he sold most of the microwave iPhones, well, just phones in particular, aside from just this one. And this is where this piece comes in. It's like a Samsung white phone, iPhone, which has a real eyeball in it, still in the original case. And so Dad offered to buy it alongside another item. Well, the thing about my dad is that he's based in doing these shelf scanning robots. He works at a company called Brain, and he is kind of responsible for doing these shelf scanning and scrubbing robots. And so he, in addition to getting me this as an early Christmas present, he also got just some cast robot figurine, whichever it was, and supposedly, it's in his office. Well, I didn't want to buy this myself just because, well, when he named the price, it being like at least $1,000 or so, I was like, I can pay for it. And I offered my dad to pay for it because I didn't want to waste that much money on just like a piece of YouTube history. But yeah, I couldn't be any more humble with meeting up with the guy, and he even had the thing signed. I think I estimated the wrong year for just this phone. Well, I assumed it was 2011. Well, I guess it could depend on the model. Could have been 2013 or 14, but yeah, got this from him. I couldn't be any more humble meeting up with him and actually getting a piece of YouTube history. And of course, before we left, well, I told about how, well, we were just complimenting the guy. And I remember I had this one jest, because supposedly earlier in the day, when Dad and I were in another city, I don't know if it was like Borrego Springs or something. Borrego Springs. It could have been Borrego Springs. Well, just wherever. I could be wrong. It could have been just some other destination. Well, no, Yucca Valley. Yucca Valley, excuse me. Yucca Valley. When we were up in Yucca Valley, just before we went down to Palm Springs, he stopped by a farmer's market and he went inside a jewelry store just because he wanted to go get some gems. You know, he liked to be able to collect rocks and jewels. Well, supposedly just because he wants to run like a sort of jewelry business when he retires, which would be a nice way to make some money. And so one of the jokes I was looking up from, well, just based on with whatever he was doing, well, because I didn't care for the farmer's market. I mean, the farmer's market was so-and-so, but you know, really I thought the gem store was much more enjoyable compared to what was outside, which was just mostly like food stands and whatnot and all that. So I told him about how it's like, you know, Dad, I think I'm starting to see you crystal clear, and like you won't die, like miners won't die, they'll recrystallize. Well, just something like that. I forget the joke. Well, just that one liner. And so I'm just trying to find the joke. Yeah, just some crystal joke. Yeah, but just looking for I forget what that joke was. Well, just something about, oh wait, here it is. Geologists. Old geologists never die, they just recrystallize. And so I told Kenny that sort of jest. I mean, well, I don't think it can be any more perfect. I mean, specifically on the topic of just the skulls that he had, I told about how, like, when his time comes, he won't die. He'll be recrystallized in one of his many different skull creations. Well, yeah. I don't think it could be any more pedantic. Well, just for that little moment of, well, just sort of bonding. Well, I don't know if I would consider it bonding, but just something of that. But, you know, I don't think it could be any more perfect than just, well, actually talking with him. Oh yeah, well, I could show you a skull, well, just one of his skull creations that he did out of one of the iPads he microwaved, well, just to prove my point. But yeah, these are up on Flickr. But yeah, he just has like these different skulls up front. And yeah, I just thought I would just, I don't know, otherwise praise him. But yeah, you know, and as we left, I did apologize about, well, the earlier confusion, well, with like confusing the entry up front, well, just our confusion for the entry up front, and he told us it was fine. I mean, since he was already warmed up to us. And yeah, we went by our separate way. We basically went back to our little crappy hotel, you know, just this tiny hotel that we were in. It was overviewing a swimming pool. It was mostly filled with seniors. And then the next day we just drove right back out to San Diego. Made it back home. Taking this along with me. But yeah. Got a piece of YouTube history right here. Again, couldn't be any more humble meeting up with the guy, dOvetastic Microwave Theater. And yeah, I know this is a long, well, not a destruction stream, just a long live stream. And I hope YouTube keeps it up just the way I got it. But yeah, well, for those that had just listened in, I hope you may have gotten something out of it. But yeah, just that's basically my story of how I met dOvetastic Microwave Theater, the guy behind dOvetastic Microwave Theater, and was able to secure one of his many art pieces, just his symbol of destruction. I still need to figure out like how I am gonna meet Garrett Claridge and Sean Kate. We'll just get symbols from each of them. I know for Garrett Claridge, well, if you've ever seen his videos, if you noticed about how he had lost his teeth, supposedly just because of a vitamin deficiency, so he had to have all of his teeth pulled out. Well, don't feel too bad anyway. I mean, because even with him, well, here I was kind of putting together something for him. Well, I'll probably put it up in another video. Well, by the time he reaches 100,000 subscribers, well, if I could even find it, well, with wherever it is. Oh wait, it's off to the side here. Yeah, just something about how even without all of his teeth, he could still take a bite out of life like a true legend. And this stuff I just generated off of ChatGPT. It was just looking for some jokes, or, well, not really jokes, but just things to give him praise for. Like, I mean, just because he doesn't have teeth, that doesn't mean he's got a bunch of fans smiling down and laughing before him based on the content he promotes. But yeah, I got my dOvetastic right here. Now I just need to figure out where else to get my other, role model symbols. Just whoever. No, I think I've told about how I'm just going to go through my little notebook real quick, because I've written down some of the names of these people that have otherwise influenced me into doing these videos. If nothing more. They may not be listed in here, but I could probably just list them off for here. Oh wait, here they are. So yeah, in addition to, well, besides dOvetastic and Garrett Claridge, I would like to be able to, well, besides Garrett Claridge, dOvetastic, and Sean K, I have to give my kudos to, well, including the Original HD channel, I have to give my kudos to Jogwheel, who has done Is It a Good Idea to Microwave This?, The Smash Doctor, Ran Dumb Productions, that's RINDUMBPROD, Random Productions, only of which I know about, and I had to look them up again, well, just because of my foggy memory, but it turns out that, well, some of the members were on Richard Michael Alvarez's Stupid Mario Brothers, well, a show, online show that my brother and I used to watch, well, because of our obsession with Super Mario, even if I didn't get fully the meaning of just that show. I know most of those people, well, those that have grown up with the golden age of YouTube, might know those videos very well. I know, I'll say. Well, even if I've never seen the entire show, I feel like I should, just for a nostalgic, like, comeback, or just to, refresh my mind. But yeah, I have to give my kudos to those guys. Well, Garrett Claridge, Original HD Channel, dOvetastic, Sean K, Jogwheel. Is it a good idea to microwave this? The Smash Doctor, Random Productions. Well, I only knew of them. Well, their videos may not be noteworthy. I mean, just the smashing stuff. Well, just those videos may not be too noteworthy, but I know that one of the things that they destroyed was like a Dreamcast, a Sega Dreamcast. But yeah, that's beside the point. You know, one of the many YouTubers I used to watch, amongst other amateur YouTubers. How to Basic to some extent. Well, even if I don't really care too much for his videos now than I used to. Jeepers Media, well, for the guy that did all those inappropriate toy reviews. Well, because, well, for those that used to watch him, he reviewed a lot of like toys that were otherwise inappropriate or had to be recalled because of the sake of being inappropriate. Excuse me. They had to be recalled just because of many like things. Well, I mean, mostly by the fact they were inappropriate for children, and they, you know, maybe had some malfunctions, well, in the process to where supposedly they were saying mean things. Well, you get the idea, just being the state of being inappropriate. And yeah, you know, I used to watch him, as well as his second channel, the Toy Channel, where he did a lot of those Play-Doh videos and other types of stuff. Like, well, of course, that was until he stopped posting on there frequently because he shifted towards doing more pop art. Well, supposedly, if you don't know about the guy, Mike Mozart, he supposedly did a lot of product design. He's mostly based in doing product design, and you know, there's tons of videos. Well, I can't really share too much info about him, but I'm pretty sure if you just look the guy up, just either the Toy Channel and Jeepers Media, you can track down some of those videos of some of the stuff that he had done, much of the pop art he had done. You know, most of it going back to when he was just a teenager. You know, it's quite amazing to see like how much of an influence he's been on, you know, all types of different product design. You know, he really goes back a long way, you know, which is quite amazing. Well, just in how versatile he is with his work. I mean, of course, much the same as dOvetastic's work, his work is also like well over thousands of dollars. Like just a lot of the paintings that he does. You know, of course, there'd be no way I would actually get one of his Mimo pictures without paying an obscene amount of money. And you know how I'm kind of cheap. You know, and just another thing with my destruction videos, a lot of you think I waste money. Well, if truth be told, my mom and dad had it to where for some of the ad revenue, well, it kind of dates back, well, they had it to where they would take some of the earnings I had and put it in a 401k as well as in stocks and an E-Trade, so that way I could be able to save and invest for now up until eventually when I retire, so that way I can have plenty of money to live off of. You know, they always say it's best to start investing in your 20s, because if you do it much later, then you wouldn't be able to make as much. And you know, it's always good to save now and not spend as much. I spend less of what I make, because otherwise by the time you're into middle age, you'll be paying off most of the debts that you've just been piling up, well, just based on however much you've been spending. Well, just something of that. But yeah, that's just how it is. But yeah, I was just gonna scan through most of these other comments just before eventually I log off, but those are just some of the updates I just wanted to give, or just some of the stuff, stories I just wanted to share. And I don't usually do these too long anyway, but just some insight. This is not pre-recorded, it's happening. You're probably getting a delay anyway. whatever happened to that Little Tikes toy suitcase that you had on the chopping block? I chose to hand it in just because I didn't see the point of destroying it. So there was just no point to it. But yeah. Have you heard of the YouTuber Anthena P, who makes lore essays on old kid shows? Well, yes, I have seen some of her videos. No, I guess it just depends on the things I hyperfixate on. But yeah, I guess it just depends. Types of cameras are usually Canon, like you see here. Yeah. Beside the point with just the pony movies, would like to be able to branch off and continue with doing another Q Parade video. I mean, I do have an idea, well, just to sort of explain the lore of the Golden Star. Just something of that, which would help entail the rest of the Q Parade episodes. But yeah, well, this is the star right here. Yeah, don't expect me to be destroying these things because I do have a tender side, you know, an inner child with these things. But yeah, you know, I'm getting some other stuff for Christmas that I'm potentially going to be using for that Q Parade video, so I don't want to start up on it right away. And I would have to be able to map out how the story goes, but yeah. And another thing I would like to do, well, I had this idea, is, well, these are like post-Ghostly Jacket type stuff, but I would like to try to do a Tinkerbell movie. Well, I mean, just more of a short film, and maybe with just like toys, doing it low tech, where it would be a mixture of both having it with dolls, toys, but also with some cosplayers. And yeah, well, just because of the stuff I've been reading up, well, specifically like Tinkerbell and the Ring of Belief. Well, because I know for that movie, supposedly it was almost finished. Well, supposedly just because of the resurgence of that, well, you know, taking in lost media and whatnot, you know, it kind of fascinates me. And so I had the idea to where I wanted to try to do just like a short film concept to where Tinkerbell would encounter Peter Pan. You know, most of it I've just generated through ChatGPT, but I've also referred to some of the stories, if not too much, and mostly the videos. But I would like to try to be able to do that and bring that into fruition. But it depends on my hyperfixations. But yeah, there's plenty of movies I would love to be able to create. Yes, I'm not supposed to tell, but Word Rammer will be one of the videos coming up. I won't tell which one, but you'll just have to figure it out. I'm just scrolling through the comments right now. But yeah, at this point I was just gonna go ahead and stop the stream. I just only wanted to share some updates here. I'll take some of the requests. I mean, I do have a whole list of requests. Well, I'm just going through the list of different toys from Matthew that he posted in the years before. I won't take every single one, but just specific ones. I do have other toys coming in for Christmas, which I will destroy, assuming that there won't be any company over at the next door neighbors. Well, because I know that supposedly for Thanksgiving week, like just a family was over there. Well, just a relative of ours. Well, of course, that used to be with the Jenna Laws. Well, of course, he took his own life, but you know, I'd rather not divulge into any details anyway. But it was just their family, sister of the guy. Well, if you're curious, it went by the name of Ryan. Well, not Ryan Boyer. This is a different Ryan. But yeah, I used to hang with the Jenna Laws, or I think just be with them. So in which case, this is actually was actually his sister's family, and so I didn't want to do any videos while they were there, and most of the time anyway, I tend to live like a recluse. You know, I don't usually go out too much. Well, I mean, specifically if they're over there and they're being noisy, you know. I talk about how I don't like babies and whatnot. I don't come for the noise. A lot of it accounts for emotional trauma anyway. It goes back, but yeah, you know. Supposedly they were just over there for Thanksgiving, but thankfully, if not for Christmas, at least that's what I got from my neighbor, because I know that John, well, this is my neighbor, was going to go out of town along with his wife to go see their daughter, well, Tori. Well, those are my next door neighbors. They're called the Genelons, and they've known me for many years, you know, and they're cool with my destruction videos. I don't care. If you've seen the firework video, you know, you'll be able to at least see them, if not too much. But yeah, those are my neighbors, and they don't typically care. And you know, Tori has grown up, so I mean, she's got her own life. Well, yeah, supposedly the neighbors were gonna go and visit her, and because she's like in a different state, you know, supposedly settling down. You know, I wish them the best. You know, I wish Tori the best. Well, even if I don't really touch it upon it in these videos, or just in person in general, but you know, I just hope that they're going to do well, and hopefully I won't have any distractions that will prevent me from doing new destructive content. And yeah, I mean, just like kids in general, because I don't want to endanger them or like put them in harm's way, or you know, invoke harm. I mean, just like when I'm doing destruction videos and you know they're in the presence of it, well, just things of such. Well, just like otherwise not understand with what I'm doing, and they think I hate kid toys when I don't. I'm just doing it just because you fans asked for it, and I just do it to otherwise make a living. Because otherwise, how I would be able to, you know, make a decent income and fund my movie projects? I mean, besides just the money I use just to buy toys, well, I mean, just to take requests and buy other toys to destroy, I use it to fund my movies. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do on Backstage now. You know, Backstage has really been an advantage for me in casting my films, because you know how I have autism and I struggle with casting people, but thanks to Backstage, well, since I've learned it through film school, you know, I know all the other kids were using it, but you know, I decided when I finished Ghostly Jacket Incursion just to start using Backstage, just because I know not everybody responds through email, and so I think it's very much helped in the sense of me casting folks. You know, and this is how it's going to be in the real world. Yeah, I mean, of course, accomplishing your dream is far from easy, so I'm just getting my start with just doing shorter works, and then work my way towards the big things, and all the while just, you know, keeping things low tech, you know, doing them cheap, doing these movies cheap. Yeah, I mean, basically with what I've been doing since I was 8, you know, and You find what you love, the money will follow. But yeah, that'll just about do it for this live stream. I know I kind of went on for pretty long. I'll see about doing a special Agent Oso video, like for those that asked. Maybe some other things too. And yeah, continue these movies, or continue doing these destruction videos for however long. I know I won't go on hiatus for the 100th one. For every 100 videos, 100 of these destruction videos I usually go on hiatus, but because of how many breaks I've been on, doing these videos on and off, I'll see about just continuing them like normal. But yeah, for the most part, just focus on my movies. But yeah. I'll see you all whenever I do another live stream. Stay safe, happy holidays, and that's really all there is to it. I don't know really what else to say. But yeah. Hope to see you in the next destruction video. Jaxen out.